Yo, 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 this your bro True Jew tapping in with y'all with a word. Look, do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but on the contrary, repay evil with a blessing, because to this you were called so that you might inherit a blessing. That's First Peter chapter 3, verse 9. Look, that old adage, fight fire with fire, comes to mind. Whenever we fight fire with fire, y'all, the fire only gets bigger, okay? There's going to be a lot of testing in our lives right now on all fronts. As children of the Most High walking in this path, we have to remember this first and foremost. And the thing about testing is that when you're tested, you're normally only tested under the condition that you have learned a lesson. Okay? You're normally only tested under the condition that you have learned a lesson. Now, when it comes to these lessons, this is our day-to-day struggles, right? This is those things that we have issues with in life that we have to learn how to deal with. And depending on what side of the fence we are, that's kind of predisposing how we're going to deal with these issues. Now, when I say side of the fence, I'm talking about straight up the side of righteousness or the side of wickedness. Okay. Now, what side are you choosing to be on? Get that in your mind and then get ready to fight. Okay. So after that lesson has been learned, that's when the testing is going to arrive. The testing arrives to make sure that what we have learned has been incorporated into our being, that what we have learned has been retained. And that's when the testing comes. And the testing comes oftentimes in many unexpected ways. Okay. A lot of the times the testing happens when you know in your heart that you have learned the lesson and you doing your best, breathing in and breathing out every single day to live in the bounty of that lesson learned. Okay. And it's only when you in that groove and you flowing and you got everything going in that lesson learned, that's when the testing begins. And it comes many different ways, right? A lot of times that testing comes in the form of people who present themselves as allies to you, people who present themselves in the form of friends. Okay. And why is this like this? Because those people in that moment, as they presented themselves as friends and allies to you, utilize that mentality within themselves in order to get closer to you. Once they were close enough to you in the form of this ally or friend, that is when the testing began through this individual to show you that they wasn't really an ally or a friend, but that they was here to test you in order to see from a spiritual perspective if you really learned and incorporated the lesson that you were supposed to get. You see, that test, it comes from the Most High. It's going to come, though, in the form of individuals who appear to be a certain type of way. Okay? And that's usually how it happens. Now, the thing about this testing is, when it comes to you, 9 times out of 10, in the moment, you may forget the lesson. It's only when you have fully incorporated that lesson within you that you will recognize the testing. Oftentimes, those tests are pop tests, pop quizzes, and they pop up seemingly out of nowhere, right when you thought you had it down, right when you thought you had the lesson down pat, right? That's when the test comes. So we don't want to be mad at the individual who the test is coming through. And that's why the Most High tell us don't repay evil with evil. Because oftentimes you're going to look at that individual who presented themselves as an ally and a friend to you, and you're going to wonder why this person double crossed you, why this person try to trick you, why this person try to move you out of position. And the thing about that is, it's good to go on and take your distance. It's good to go on and separate from that individual so don't no violence and nothing like that take place, right? But it's also good to separate from that individual so you can reflect on the previous lessons. Now, a lot of times the test also includes a lesson as well, okay? Now, when you have identified that you're being tested, normally in hindsight, it could be 10, 15 seconds or 10, 15 minutes or 10, 15 days after you got tested that you recognize it was a test. But once you recognize it was a test, then you can look and reflect to see if you actually passed that test or not. And the first thing that we are suggested to do is not repay that test with another test, or not repay that evil with evil, or that insult with insult, because we are expecting a blessing through all the testing. Remember, a test only comes after you have incorporated a lesson or learned a lesson. Okay? And so once you pass the test, then you can stand and celebrate your triumph. Okay? So testing comes before the triumph. The triumph is what we celebrate, or we celebrate in a triumphant manner once we pass the test. Once we get settled in and we did all our triumphing and all of that good stuff, then it's time for the testimony. The testimony comes when you have learned the lesson, you have fully incorporated it into you. You then pass the testing that came due to the lesson that you were supposed to learn, and then you were triumphant in that testing. Now you get to testify about it, and you get to share your testimony so that you can be a living example, okay? A living example to others how you got through the lesson, through the testing, passed the testing, and was triumphant, and then got to celebrate that triumphness, or that triumphancy, whatever word you want to use to incorporate your triumph into the testimony. All right. And that testimony should be pure, should be transparent, so that the individuals who are walking with you and walking behind you, who are also going to have to incorporate that lesson in testing and then hopefully become triumphant in that thing, that whole process, can look at you and say, hey, all right, brother got through that, sister got through that, I could get through it too. All right, that's just a reminder, y'all. I want to hit y'all with this quick word because it was placed on my heart as a reminder to myself that we dealing with a lot of testing these days. But I'm telling you right now, on the other side of that testing is great reward. On the other side of that testing is a magnificently abundant blessing that's coming your way. All right? It's your brother TheRealTrueJu tapping in with y'all the only way I know how. Raw, real, and uncut. You know I love you to life always. Stay blessed, stay vigilant. Until Most High Mama Papa willing, I'll be back with another one. But until then, gone.